Really unable to light the chalice this morning because I found that would be very powerful to acknowledge these partnerships, right? With the congregation, with art, with the muse, and with the muse in flesh and blood. So let's receive this reflection, and to frame it, bless you, a Zen proverb. We walk the path that no one has trod, following the footprints left by others. So let us reflect. Isn't that awesome? Those are photographs. And photographs, those are photographs. Photographs are, a capture of light, right? A register of light. And isn't that an incredible register and capture of light? Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Very much. Very much. Yeah, please. Yes. And I'm going to, if we can get a talking stick. And it's time for all ages. So I invite children, young and small and tall and all the way around to come forward, if you would. We'll talk a little bit. And I have a magic stick that we'll see if it will work. Let's see. I'm going to give up on this thing. Oh, it did work. No, it didn't. I give up. Sometimes it's okay to give up. So we'll start right there. Thank you. Well, bless you. Thank you. And by the way, we have new youth workers. Did you know that? Yes. And one of them, Cooper, starting today, it's Cooper's first job ever. Isn't that awesome? And aren't we blessed? And Becca and Emma are also hired. Woo! Yeah, they have many, many years of experience. Thank you very much. Childcare. Sorry, that wasn't very clear. So childcare for the little ones. Yeah. So last Sunday, my question during Time for All Ages was, what is love? And I made a recommendation. I'm going to repeat that. Lauryn Hill's record, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You have to, study it. Yes, talks a lot about love. So what is love? And there were some thoughts about what love is. And then I asked, who do you love? And there were some answers about who you love. And my other question was, how? How do you do this love thing? And we talked about being a verb in only one tense. What tense? Present tense. So this morning I have those same questions again. And with that, I have a story about love. But I'm not sure if it's really love. So we'll go through this story together. Have you heard of Narcissus? Narcissus, yeah? There's even a flower named after Narcissus. I think it's also named daffodil. It's the same one, right? Yeah. One of the first flowers of spring, right? Towards the end of winter. So here's an image of Narcissus that might remind you of what the story is about. Does anybody know what the story is about? Would you like to do a little one-liner? Okay. Janine, one-liner, maybe two?
Narcissus is staring into the stream to admire his own image.
Narcissus is staring on a stream or a pond or a water body, admiring his own beauty. So Narcissus was a hunter, supposedly really beautiful hunter. I can talk a lot about that, but it suffices for now that he was very beautiful and really not interested in anybody else's love. And a lot of people fell in love with him. But he would just like, nah, not interested. And would go about his hunting. And indeed, one of these days, he caught his reflection on a body of water and fell in love with himself and became doomed to stare at himself forever. So that was his life from that point onward, to just stare at his own image. And there are different versions of this story. There are some that, he falls into the lake, he dies, and some other even more horrific stories and endings. But I thought I would bring up this story because, it's part of Greek mythology, and Greek mythology is pretty cool, and a lot of it comes from other cultures too. The Greeks did not invent everything, especially culture. Let me say that again. This story has inspired a lot of songs. We talked about how many songs are about love, and feels like a lot of the songs, or all the songs, are about love in some ways. And there's a poet, someone called Seamus, another great youth, yes, friend of yours. So one of his namesake is Seamus Heaney. Is that how I pronounce correctly? Heaney. And this poem references Narcissus, and the name of the poem is Personal Hellion, from his collection Death of a Naturalist. And here's a couple lines. To stare big-eyed Narcissus into some spring is beneath all adult dignity. What is this poet talking about? So I have some other images of Narcissus staring at a pond, a lake, Narcissus doing some contortion there, really in terrible love with himself. And the next one is my favorite. And that painting is by Caravaggio. So you see Narcissus staring down at his own reflection. So is that love? Did Narcissus really fall in love with himself? Or is that something else? Psychology and psychiatry has used that story and that name for a condition. What is that? Narcissism, right? So it can be a little bit tricky, this practice of loving oneself. Maybe a fine line there between too much love, especially if you're not accepting other people's love. And other people's love sometimes can be in the shape, in the form, and practice as criticism, or seeing your non-perfect sides. Yeah? So accepting that form of love and being very healthy with how we love ourselves. Because self-love, to love oneself, is not narcissism, and it doesn't have to be. And when I asked you last week, who do you love? Who thought myself first? One person. Okay, so who do you love? Can you think of yourself when you answer that question? Or when you're practicing and you're exercising that verb in the present tense? So one way of doing it is called metta. So within Buddhism, it's a metta practice, it's a meditation that helps one person to feel a little bit more love towards oneself. Because there's so many messages out there these days about how you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not fat enough, you're not strong enough, not being enough. So it's really hard to love oneself when so many of these messages bombard us over and over again. So for a couple of minutes, I want to invite you to do this practice. Say those things, say those words. And when you say the word I, think of your higher self, of yourself, or your true self. So you want to try that? Let's try that. May I feel safe and protected May I feel free of mental suffering and distress. May I feel healthy and strong. May I live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. What do you think? All right, so that's going to go out in an email, and I'm going to have printouts for you to do that next week, that you can take it home. You can practice that, starting loving yourself if you don't feel like you really love yourself. And if you feel like you love yourself, to love yourself, accepting your imperfections as well as all that is perfect about you. What do you think? Cool? All right. So there's some prophets called the Beatles with lots of records that you should study, as well as Miss Lauryn Hill and John McCall and Patty will lead us in singing the refrain for All We Need Is Love as you process to RE. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love is all you. Woo! All right, have fun. Yes. Love is all we need, and we need love from you, and we're glad that you're here. And part of our practice of loving one another and accepting all that life presents us with, and loving even the sorrows in a way. And if you can't love the sorrows, maybe just allow them. It might be a little easier and healthier than trying to push them away, because it's so hard and impossible with some of the sorrows, right? So we'll let them go through, yeah? And we have a book of Joys and Sorrows in the foyer. You can always write it down. And that gets shared through eBeacon. So folks at home can join you in meditation if they meditate about their sorrows and their joys, or in prayer, or sending you good vibes, or singing a song, yeah? And this morning, we have the awesome joy of Everett Butts turning 99 years of age. Yes. Hi, Everett. And Everett's opening up his home. So everyone is invited from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Come in, give him a hug, and celebrate almost a century on this planet, loving and teaching and learning and being an awesome example. Yeah? All right. And Amanda Barnes, who's on the other side of the screen, is up the road also at Sutter Auburn Faith Hospital. She had to go back to the hospital with another medical matter. I'll be seeing her this afternoon, and she said that if anybody wants to see her, I could share her contact info with you. So if you're interested, I'll share her contact info, and you can schedule to see her and show some love. And today, after the service, I'll be outside looking this great. And I invite you to join me and to be in a photograph, because there is a campaign that started in 2019 when J. Mace III and Lady Dan Figueroa Edidi, co-editors of Black Trans Prayer book, started in 2019, a campaign called Transphobia is a Sin. Full disclosure, I have my own theology about sin. Don't have to get into it. But the big point is that 25 anti-trans bills were introduced in the United States in 2019. 2022, can you guess a number? 155 anti-trans bills. So you get the point. You get the reason why people of faith need to show up and be seen. And we need to say being a trans person is not a sin. Now, being transphobic, yes, that's a sin. So I'll be outside, and if you're interested, we're going to be in a photograph, and I'm going to put big, bold, colorful letters, transphobia is a sin, and I'm going to launch it in all my social media platforms. And I'm going to tag them so they know that we exist and that we love all people, trans people in particular, as our community is under such a horrible attack. So you can join me. That will be one of those prayers in action. That's, pray with your hands, right? With your feet, with your whole body, with your soul. So my joy for this morning is for trans kids, my joy for disabled trans people, my joy for working class trans people, my joy for Black, brown, indigenous trans people, for femme trans people who can give birth, trans immigrants, trans people who are houseless, trans sex workers, trans elders. Those are my joys, the queer joy that brings really light and love into my own life and into this planet as I see it. In a meditation, another meditation for us this morning, I titled it Beautiful Soul. It's a love letter to you also. You don't have to be trans. I love you too. You're okay. No, you're not okay. You beloved. You're awesome. So I invite you to reflect on this meditation with another song, this time the song Darling by Beautiful Chorus. All right, beautiful soul. Let me encourage you to turn around. Find a couple of eyeballs. Look at them and say, beautiful soul or beautiful darling. Hello, gorgeous. Hello, beautiful. Hi. Yes. All right, beautiful. Okay. All right. How are you feeling? Yeah? That's who you are. Yeah. And we're not allowed to lie here. You know what happens if you lie. You get zapped, right? So everything you heard is true. Yes. And I really hope you feel it. And a way that we love one another and we love our community is in the sharing of the fruits of our labor. We show up, we break bread, and we offer part of it. We take the shirts off our back sometimes if it's needed, right? And we offer. So here we are at a moment when you're invited to share, to offer what you have prepared. And as I offered a couple weeks ago, remember the definition of to sacrifice? Right? It's to make sacred. It's not to crucify, right? It's not to destroy. It's to make it sacred. So we invite you to give. And our partners for this month are two young people related and focused projects. One is Hip Hop Congress, that, by the way, there's the MLK celebration tomorrow. You're invited at the art gallery, Gomez Art Gallery. 9:30 starts, and then there's a program, I think, at 10 or 10:30. There's a poster over there. So there will be, Hip Hop Congress will be recipients of Share the Plate this year, along with Youth Social Justice Club. We're encouraging the students at Placer High and other students. They're home educated, right? To be part of it, and students from any other schools, they're encouraged to work together to transform and bring more love into the world. So give as you feel moved, as you feel inspired. If you want to dedicate 100% of what you give to those organizations, you just have to mark 100% to youth projects, or 100% to our operations. You can also do SFUU 100%. So give with joy. And as we give, we'll receive the music and we can join in singing the music because the words are on the screen. So let us celebrate.
We all have played. We all
I have to carry on, for it's not too long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. All right. Woo! Thank you for your generosity. All right. All right. So for those that is the first time joining us this year, 2023, I do take attendance, by the way. Mitchell or Isaac, which one? Mitchell. Hi. Hello. We've been reflecting on love, the path of love. That's the theme. That's the theme that our services are gravitating around, in many ways of love, right? In many ways that we can understand it, and most importantly, practice, right? So I thought, well, how about the title for today being Love Thyself? Yeah? What do you think? Right? Fancy archaic word there. So that's your $5 worth of an academic degree that costs too much money. And here's a quote from St. Catherine of Siena. All has been consecrated. The creatures in the forest know this. The earth does. The seas do. The clouds know, as does the heart, full of love. Strange, a priest would rob us of this knowledge and then empower himself with the ability to make holy what already was. Can I hear an amen? Miss Catherine of Siena, I'm telling you, this is from, she was born in 1347, talking about power, right? And prophetic, because back then, the priests were the ones telling people, oh, sinner, going to hell, evil, your body, punish it. And these days we have social media influencers doing that job, right? So I should include that. Or, corporations that want to profit from you feeling horrible about yourself. So let me just drop that mic, gently, of course. So as we started reflecting with the young ones, self-love is not selfish. Self-love is not selfish. The distortion of it, right? We have names for it. Narcissism, right? Egotism, right? Egoism. How do you say it in English? Egoism. Egotism. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and being egotistical. That's not even self-love. That's actually a manifestation. And we have psychiatrists here, psychologists here, and social workers here, folks that have studied this stuff. That actually, that's an expression of self-hate, really. Those are like, oh, me, myself, and I, and yes, I need to make myself really big because I feel so miserable, and I don't love this thing. This self here. So Dan Harris, who was a former news anchor, there are some good news anchor, right? So that's my Buddhist stick for you, the going beyond the duality, yeah, the dichotomies. He's also a meditation advocate. And this is a quote from him: self-love is not selfish. And for those that your university is called TED Talks, I encourage you to look up his short, really succinct talk about self-love. And he says that he realized after, have you heard a 360 analysis? Yeah, an exercise? Woo, baby. Someday we should try that, I suppose. But this is when people from all angles of your life tell you the truth, hopefully in love. So in that exercise, which included some of his co-workers, friends, and spouse, he realized that he was an S. I was going to say asshole, and I was like, is there children? So he realized that, and he's like, how can I deal with that? How can I deal with that? He freaked out. And this guy is a news anchor, right? So he's on screen all the time. His personality, right, and charisma, likability is his bread and butter. How can you be there? Well, I guess according to Fox News, yeah, you can still get the ratings. But point being, he realized, okay, I gotta figure out what's up. Why am I the way that I am? And why are a lot of people experiencing me in this way? Dan Harris. And by the way, if your parents tell you not to say those words I just said, please don't, because they're gonna blame me and try to fire me. I need this job. Which is not a job, it's a vocation, but it's another story. So he realized, okay, I gotta do something about myself. I need to understand who I am. So he started meditating, and in his meditation practice, he realized, oh, when I act this way towards other people in a really nasty, miserable way, it's really because I'm feeling very insecure about myself and I freaking out. So I lash out on people. Yeah. So he started meditating and figuring out, oh, I gotta love myself. I gotta find ways to love myself. So in order to love yourself, you must know thyself. Cannot do love thyself prior to knowing thyself. Otherwise, it's just another person staring at a water puddle. Remember a little story involving a water puddle and a beautiful person? So, know thyself is a Greek aphorism. And those are the Greek words there. Noti saltum. In Latin, nascit ipsum. And it's part of the 3 Delphic maxims scribed in the forecourt of the temple of Apollo at Delphi, according to the Greek writer Pausanias. But Plato, now it's my turn to make fun of you, Americans, that transform T's into D's, like dentists and yeah. So Plato and Diogenes attributed them to the 7 sages of Greece, the lawgivers of the 7th and 6th century before Common Era. And they were renowned for their wisdom. So these 3 are attributed to those 7. The other 2 aphorisms are nothing to excess. Nothing to excess. And then the 3rd one, give a pledge and trouble is at hand. I prefer this translation. Certainty brings insanity. So what's another characteristic of a narcissistic person in addition to I am the best, I'm the most, and that's the absolute truth? They are also really so sure about everything that they know, right? So here's another philosopher. And no empathy. So how can they love? And I'm going to get there because there's another prophet. I don't know if you heard of RuPaul. I will quote her briefly. But here's another one. Iris Apfel, an iconic, self-loving woman, right? That wears wherever that heck she wants. Yes? And feel really good about herself. You don't find out who you are unless you work at it. And I'll add it, darling. So we have to work at finding out who we are, don't we? Do we come with manuals? No. And parents here, children don't come with manuals either. So children that are here, your parents are still learning who you are, and they're still learning who they are too. So empathy is really important in those relationships as well. And from my, pop quiz, you ready? What is the non-binary term for brothers and sisters? We're just singing brother just now, like brother. Now, siblings, right? Awesome. So when in doubt, use siblings and don't assume. So my siblings from Enflashed, an awesome collaboration of artists, poets, and theologians, have this quote in their social media platform that is used for love. So social media can be used for love and for teaching and encouraging one another. So if you please receive these words. Faithful people, faithful priestess and priests, undo the hoarding of the holy. Remember, reclaim, repair our relationship to the sacredness, dispersed throughout all living things. Yes, non-human animals. Yes, water. Yes, trees. Yes, creepy and crawly things. Yes, your body too. Even, especially, the elements you have learned to despise. Blessed, consecrated, holy. That's who you are. From beginning. From the very beginning. And some, depending on your cosmology, will say before the beginning. So now we get to practice, because theory is great, but we know words are cheap, even if they look good and sound good. So last Sunday, you were invited to meet other people that we think it would be good for you to love and to be loved by, or at least to know, because they are in the area. And unfortunately, because of what humans have done to the planet, climate preparedness and climate crisis, and you never know when your basement's going to flood or when you're going to lose power. Did you get power back? You did. All right. Awesome. So you never know when you're going to need to lean on someone or when somebody's going to need to lean on you. And if you love people, we have to find ways to allow people to lean on us. So you are invited back into those groups and you're like, what? I wasn't here. I don't know what group. Ah. Your name tag may have a little name in the back, a little color and a nature element. So gravitate towards those with the same little piece of cloth and same name. And if you don't have one, you gravitate towards me because I want to talk to you and I want to see you in particular. And we have signs. So you're like, where will I go? They're facilitators. So gravitate towards those with a sign of the name and the color you have on your name badge. If you don't have one, I would love to check in with you. If you're comfortable, maybe say hello. We're just gonna say hello. Yes?
You can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how are you gonna love somebody else?
I invite you back to your seats. If you, enough love, that's enough love now. That's too much love. That's too much love now. Too much love. A little less love now. Save some love for brunch. Save some love for brunch. Well, beloveds, I hope you got to know each other a little bit more. I hope you got to know each other a little bit more. And the frame is frozen, but you might recognize Prophet RuPaul, and some of you may remember how RuPaul closes every episode of RuPaul Drag Race. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you're gonna love somebody else? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you're gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. So my encouragement for this week, now that you had a couple Sundays, they got to meet people face to face, and you'll be getting emails this week with everyone in your band's email. And by the way, if you prefer not to have your contact or be part of any of this fun and games, it's okay. Passing is always acceptable. So let us know and we'll make sure that we keep your contact information strictly private. But if we don't hear anything about that, we're gonna share your email with folks and your phone number so people can send you an email. And I don't know if you heard of the concept of grace notes. It's a concept Andrea Dreisen has developed, and this is what she has to say about it. Everybody wants to know it's that they are or they were loved. So this is a concept, an encouragement for those instances, right? When somebody leaves for whatever reason, or somebody passes away, and you're thinking, oh, I should have told that person I love them, or that I appreciate this about them, or that about them. So to offer grace is a fantastic exercise that I want to encourage you to do, and send a grace note to someone. So you'll get an email this week about how to share that. And if you don't want to do emails and you don't want to, we'll practice that next Sunday. So I hope you enjoy that and you continue to talk to each other, to learn about who you are, because oftentimes we learn who we are by learning who other people are, right? And their views on us as well. So may you continue in this loving thyself, knowing thyself, and loving your neighbor. And our closing song is Answering the Call of Love. Answering the Call of Love, which is our thread song for this month. And I invite you to sing. You may move around, you may stay seated, you may roll around. Cartwheels are encouraged, twirl. We'll answer the call of love in whatever ways we are called to answer.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together and the hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound. Corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A brighter day is dawning. Love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Let's join together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Yes, yes. For the last, this is the third Sunday, I offer a commission benediction from Alec Menon, a fantastic non-binary person that has taught me so much and as an inspiration, global inspiration. They have been writing New Year's resolutions, and this is from 2021. I hope this may inspire you and bless you. There are far more worthy pursuits than being liked, like being. Not all knots need to be untied. You are not for everyone. You are for you. How devastating. How gorgeous. Their fear is not your own. Emancipate yourself from their shame. Protect your beauty. Authenticity is an orientation, not a destination. Live many lives, each one as true as the last. Failure is stagnancy, not sinking. Perhaps the treasure you were seeking was waiting there all along beneath your capsized ego. Perfection is a eugenic ideal. Love people for who they are, not what you think they should be. No one is coming to rescue you. This is not a tragedy. It's an opportunity. Become the person you were waiting for. Feeling is dangerous, but what do you call disassociation? Better to know the origin of bruise than not. There are worlds that don't exist yet. Make them up. Few things are more real than fiction. Design murals for all the miracles. Paint them in every conversation. Make hope contagious. Once upon a time, someone felt your loneliness. Find ancestors. Become their living memorial. And as we do, when we gather, before we extinguish the chalice, we remind one another that as we go forth, may we carry blessed be, go in peace.